Welcome back to HerCanary. Today we're talking about breakups and why you might not be as crazy as you feel. Your brain kind of puts you into this withdrawal state. Let me explain. Breakups make us sad and we experience a full range of emotions. And sometimes we even start behaving or feeling a little irrational. Like this isn't just emotional, my body physically feels it. And I'm literally going through what feels like withdrawals. Quick disclaimer before we get into this. I'm not a therapist, a doctor, or a licensed professional. Just a girl with thoughts, experiences, and I found a microphone. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And maybe don't text your ex based solely on this podcast alone. So it kind of feels off, right? When you first start your breakup, because it's like, why am I acting like this? This is not who I am. Because no one really warns you that after a breakup, you don't just miss the person. You start acting like your brain totally clocked out. And the weird part is, the behaviors feel really abnormal to you, right? Like, this is not who I am, but it's actually a really normal response. Your brain is just not coping well with the decision. Refreshing their page, seeing if they watched your story, acting like it's breaking news, opening your phone, closing it again, just in case something changed in the last 4 seconds. And you're checking their last active status, like you're a detective on the case, typing their name into search, trying to figure out how the algorithms work, rereading old conversations and messaging your friend for the 40th time. This isn't your personality. This is a chemical situation. And I'm not just being dramatic here, unfortunately. There's actually research, like from the Gottman Institute, that shows strong relationships create attachment patterns that your brain gets used to. So when you lose that person, your system basically goes into this distress mode. And part of that is your brain's reward center, the same system that's tied to things like dopamine, which is what makes things really feel good and addictive. And then your emotional center, like your amygdala, starts going into this fight or flight mode, like something's wrong or unsafe. My therapist, bless her heart, she is such a patient woman. She explained this to me once in a way that made a lot of sense. When your emotions spike like this, it's kind of like your brain flips its lid. You heard that before? It's a phrase that came from a boiling pot of water, right? The pot boils over and the lid pops off, right? So it's basically what's happening here with your brain. Your emotions boil over. You have your amygdala and you have your cerebral cortex. Your cerebral cortex is what is your logic. Your thinking brain gets pushed out of the way, your logical brain, and it basically goes offline for a minute. So you're not thinking, you're reacting because your amygdala is in survival mode, which makes sense because remember earlier in the podcast, the beginning, when I said it feels like the brain just clocked out, well, it's because it did. So you're not crazy. Your brain is just trying to protect. It's doing it like it's in full battle mode. Like your brain thinks this is Sparta. Everything is urgent, everything's dramatic, and everything is like, we must act immediately. So really quick, something my therapist showed me that actually helps a lot is imagining that my fist is your emotional brain, your amygdala, and then your hand on top, and that's your thinking brain, your cerebral cortex. And when everything feels calm, it's like this, your lid is on. But when something feels really emotionally unhinged, like a breakup, your brain kind of flips its lid. And now your thinking brain isn't really in charge. Your logical isn't in charge anymore. Your survival brain is. So fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And you're not making calm, logical decisions. You're just reacting, which is why we're texting him, aren't we? Like your nervous system is in full chaos over someone who never made you feel consistently safe. We'll call it the crumb king. You're this messed up over the crumb king. Or queen, if you're a male watching. And then you start doing really well, right? You start healing, you're feeling stable, you're hydrated, and then they text you. And suddenly you're like, we don't have to rush this healing process. And then there's the part that no one really talks about, where you don't even want them to come back as they were. You want the version of them that they almost were, like the potential, the promises, the it could have been version. And you start daydreaming like, what if they come back and suddenly they're emotionally available and consistent and everything they said they would be? Like you're writing a whole redemption arc in your head. But this is not the fucking Notebook, right? No one is out there building you a house in the rain after ignoring you for months. And at some point you have to be like, wait, why am I creating a better version of someone who already showed me who they are? We got to snap out of it. We're not out here hurting our own feelings over imaginary versions of people. This part matters too. This person might have genuinely loved you, and they may not And they just may not have had the tools or the capacity to show up in the way that was healthy or safe for you or for the relationship. And that's okay. We're all in different parts of this journey, but it doesn't mean that you stay, because separation doesn't always mean anger or hate. Sometimes it just means awareness. Your person will never have you feeling this low. They will hurt you, right? We're human. That's inevitable. I won't make that promise. And we can talk about that in another episode. But it's not a pain like this. There's a difference. There's safety, there's repair, and there's a desire to resolve, not confuse. They won't confuse you, drain you, or make you question where you stand. This part right now that you're feeling, this is still the detox. This is your brain trying to go back to what it's used to. But that doesn't mean it's what's good for you. And I think that's the part that no one talks about. Maybe it's not that they were your person. Maybe your brain just got used to them. People say the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And I don't agree with that, because staying somewhere that isn't a healthy place for your heart will slowly wear you down. And no one tells you this, but part of finding your voice again, learning to sing, is letting your brain calm down long enough to hear it. So if you've ever almost texted someone you absolutely should not text, I kind of want those stories. I know that I myself have a few. I used to call it the cycle. The really unhinged ones that I knew better. And you can send me them at the link below. And just remember, you're probably not in love. You might just be in withdrawal. Thanks, canaries. Until next time.